said live, Steve and Chris, they're gonna fly. No stone unturned, the facts alive. Bigfoot story now defined. Footsteps here and shadows there. In the woods they do prepare. Concerts for light the way. Bigfoot secrets shown today. Sunday night of light to shine. Sunday night of sunshine. Swan sees it's time to shine. Sunday night of light to shine. Sunday night of light to shine. Squatter is always time to shine. Squatter is always time to shine.
Welcome to SquatchDTV, where the truth is first before all else. Join your hosts, veteran investigator, TV personality, and author Steve Kulls, and from the Kentucky Bigfoot Research Project and the Kentucky Fried Fixes channel, Chris Bennett. Sit back and prepare to take yourself on a journey with the longest-running Bigfoot podcast, SquatchDTV. Here are your hosts, Steve and Chris.
And good evening, cyberspace. Welcome to SquatchDTV for today's date, September 29th, 2024. I'm your host, your guy, the Squatch Detective Steve Kulls, along with my co-host, Mr. Chris Bennett. How's it going down there, Chris?
Hi, Steve. We're doing good, man. Trying to stay dry here in Kentucky. It's not been easy.
Yes, and our prayers go out to everybody in the South that's been affected by this horrible hurricane.
Well, that's true. Everybody south and east of us got hit hard. It's really bad in a lot of areas, but you know, we had the low pressure system was kind of like hovering over Kentucky for the worst of it. So
yeah,
we were kind of like in the eye of the storm. We got a lot of rain and some wind, but not a lot of flooding like a lot of the guys in the South did. And,
yeah. I mean, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida getting creamed.
Yeah.
So
Tennessee, parts of Tennessee over on the eastern side. I think Interstate 40, where it goes from Tennessee into North Carolina, washed out. So, yeah, the interstate. Now that's a big deal, and a lot of people, you know, dead and missing. So, you know, we keep everybody in our thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's been quite the weekend.
Yeah, you had a big weekend over at Whitehall.
Yeah, I got a little bit of a cough from last night being out so much. Plus, I had my vaccinations on Friday, so that usually the flu shot usually elicits a cough for a couple of days for me.
Rabies shot, stuff like that. Got to get them every year.
Distemper. My ringworm shot, my heartworm shot. The upside is I got my new tick collar.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's good. That's especially good when you go out in the woods. But my eyes are going to be a little swollen tonight. It's not because I'm sleepy. It's because I've been eating garden fresh tomatoes, which I'm allergic to. But I don't care. I love them. We'll just have to deal with the issues.
Yes. You know, what a weekend. It started early for me Saturday morning, and that's why we didn't have a show Friday. Friday, I was just running around still. Friday is, you know, before the Whitehall weekend, the Whitehall Sasquatch Festival.
Right.
You know, I decided to load the car. Usually I load it Saturday morning. I said, you know what? I'm loading it Friday night. Yeah. So I'm getting all the equipment charged up because not only that is that with the festival, we get into other stuff. So that's why we didn't have a show Friday night. But anyway, before we get into all of this, we got to do our roll call in the chat.
Yeah.
And our first one in tonight is Pat Collins. Hello, Pat. And Pete H in the house. Hello, Pete. Daniel Weeks. Hello, Don Gumow Jr. Sandra Piper. How are you? Angel Nolan. Hello, Angel.
Angel?
Patty Lindsay. I keep saying Lindsley. You know why? I don't know. For some reason, when I read the name, my eyes go back to the beginning of her word, so I say Lindsley. It's Lindsay. Patty Lindsay. Hello, Patty. Good to see you. Mick's in the house, and no, there will not be a full Monty calendar this year. No matter, we like our people, that can see. This is a visual show, and if they saw a full Monty, calendar by me and Chris, they would probably cut their eyes out.
That wouldn't be pretty.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be pretty. Karen Fisher, hello, Karen. Good to see you again. Martin Stilts, hello from
Martin.
I'm in Academia. Robert Denduven, good to see you. Roy Langley, hey, Roy Langley. Now we don't hear that name very much, but if you look what he wrote, he said he's representing the Lurkers unit. Hit that like button.
We love our lurkers too.
That's right. And of course, guess who? The Beachron. Hello, how was your hearing? And I'll explain that in a little bit. But I actually got to see the Beachron out there yesterday, out in Whitehall. So that was good to see him. Yeah. And there's Sasquatch Wizard Adirondacks. John, good to see you, brother. Long time no see.
Welcome.
And believe it or not, I think he's going to make an appearance on the show tonight. He
Oh,
doesn't know it.
cool.
He doesn't know it yet.
Oh, okay. Surprise.
Mike Stetton, I saw Mike Stetton yesterday up at Whitehall as well. So good to see you, Mike.
That's great.
Yeah. I saw, and we'll get into everybody that was actually at the camp.
Need to do a roll call of who attended. Yeah.
Jay Fritz in the house.
Jay?
Who else?
I don't know. I'm lost.
Hey, Jeremiah's in the house. Bigfoot Society. Check out his podcast as well.
Bigfoot Society. Good stuff there. Yeah.
Get over to his. Danny Staten. Good to see you, Danny. The Susie Monster. Hello, Ristel. What's going on? Shane Spencer. Hello, Shane. Sean, good to see you with a big hi all.
Welcome.
So the first time here, I know we got a lot of new subscribers. We did something a little different yesterday at the festival, which, so folks, hello. If you subscribed yesterday during the day on the festival, I thank you so much. Today's kind of going to be another laid back show because of all the events this weekend, but we have some content for you and some good discussion going on, as we always tend to have here.
I want to know
those
about
that are new to the channel. Grasshopper is in here.
Grasshopper.
Grasshopper.
You gotta say hi so we'll know you're here unless you're lurking.
You gotta say hi, otherwise we don't know you're here. So, and thank you again, Roy, for representing the lurkers, telling everybody to hit that like button.
Yeah.
And if you're close by, just hit it right now, and we'll get that right out of there, out of the way there.
Get that out of the way.
If you think we suck, you can always take it back later.
Leave a nasty comment, You
mean like we usually get? No. So there is a lot to talk about, a little housekeeping stuff to talk about, a little bit of what a weekend. And so that's why we didn't have a show Friday night, because I was charging everything, checking batteries. I mean, checking, packing radios, making sure the, night vision is good to go, making sure the new thermal is good to go. And the new thermal is going to be the star of the show tonight, I think, because we're going to have a little fun with that.
I like the new thermal. Steve sent me an image of it when he was checking it out of a rabbit in his yard. I was like, whoa. It's as bright as the sun out there. I mean, talking about getting the heat signature. It gets them.
And as always, when you go to these events, Whitehall was done in a flash. Yeah. I mean, I remember there's just so many people. And this year, I'm hearing at least somebody from the Chamber of Commerce said to one person that was using the shuttle, because parking is limited. So what the town does is they set up different lots
Right.
around the city so people can park there, and a shuttle will come by, pick them up, and shuttle them to the
Oh,
festival.
well, that's nice. Yeah.
And they have security at the parking areas and stuff like that.
Right.
Um, and yeah, so and yes, I have done a lot of talking over the weekend too. So
Oh yeah.
um, but so that's really a cool thing. They kind of sectioned the areas off a little better this year too. So like there's a whole section that's full of food trucks and all kinds of food. And the Boy Scouts actually had a food tent that was, benefit the Boy Scouts. And there's some fun things to do. They have a bouncy house. They have an axe throwing booth where you can,
Oh.
practice with some throwing axes and stuff like that. Really cool. And I want to throw out a big thank you to David Gray. If you notice, I'm wearing a hat. It's his. He threw me out a hat, a couple of hats, and a mug. But he's from the Adirondack
Yeah,
Knife Works.
Yeah.
Knife Works.
Night Works. Okay.
Yep,
Very
makes
cool.
knives. Just like Mike Ann from Tactical Bigfoot Research, he makes knives as well. David does this a lot as a big profession. So so David is actually part of my local team. That he's one of those folks that I'm going to be calling on if we have something. I need some people out there in the field. He's going to be out there with us. So,
Very cool.
yeah,
Yeah,
and there's Mike Stetton, who was there. A great day at the festival
Mike.
yesterday with beautiful weather. You and the other guest speakers were terrific. Lots of fascinating information. The food was awesome too. Yeah. So I went to the Boy Scouts tent and I got your typical double cheeseburger, and I had gotten their fried dough.
Mm.
And their fried dough wasn't a big, thick, doughy piece. It was thin.
Right.
It wasn't crispy. The edges were crispy. It was thin. And what they do is when it comes out, they baste it with butter.
Mm.
And then you can put some
Yeah.
powdered sugar on it. Oh, my Lord. It was
Butter.
yeah,
Butter makes everything better.
yeah. So it was, sweet and savory. Let's just say that was excellent. And, the nice thing is the money goes to the Boy Scouts. So it's going to a good cause.
Yeah.
But and then my wife shows up late, but she shows up and she had got me another wrist bracelet because I like wearing these wrist bracelets.
Yeah.
But I also picked up this for the office, which I'm going to be putting up tomorrow at some point. Is this nice little Bigfoot sign?
Oh, I like that. Yeah, that's cool.
So that is awesome, and it's really great. Really a nice homemade, piece of stuff. So that's going to go up on the wall.
I like the craftsmanship when people, put that together up here. Then
Yeah,
make it
yeah.
a lot.
So
That's
nice,
really cool.
nice little, not very expensive either. And then we got the three amigo Sasquatches, which now are on the front porch, and they're holding a welcome sign. So we'll be getting pictures of those out there too. So yeah, my wife is completely into this, which is a really cool thing. So yeah, I mean, great time. Some of the speakers were Brian Goslin, Paul Bartholomew, Emily Fleur, Mike and myself, Bruce Hallenbeck too as well. Now, for those who Bruce has been on the show before, he just came out with a book recently, The Kinderhook Creature, about the Kinderhook Creature flap in 1980 in Columbia County, New York. I finally got to meet Bruce face to face, and we had a good conversation. I gave him a copy of my new book, The Psychology of Bigfoot.
Right.
He was very happy about that. And he signed not only his copy of Kinderhook Creature, but he also signed Monsters of the Northwoods, as he's one of the co-authors.
Right.
So, Bill Brand last year, passed away earlier this year. But I have Bill Brand's signature, Paul Bartholomew, now Bruce Hallenbeck's. So I have 3 of the 4 authors signed in that book. And that was the book that got me into the Sasquatch mystery. So, so that's kind of cool. So I got the big one. I got another one off the bucket list there, which is really, really awesome. Now, here's another really a cool thing was that, yes, Mike Stetton showed up. Beatron, I saw Beatron. There may be some other YouTube members that I missed, but I mean, John Sasquatch Wizard Adirondacks was up at camp afterwards. I do a little private invite gig up in my Research One area.
Right.
Sasquatch Wizard Adirondacks was there. Finding the Trackway was there. Mrs. Trackway was there. Jen was there. They're still traveling. So, and oh yeah, Mike and I were together, and it was so good to have Mike up there. Yeah, he was like my right hand man for most of the day yesterday. I really appreciated him, and what a great time. And so who else did we have up there? We had Brian and Chewy Go Hiking were there with us too as well.
Brian, yeah.
And we got to meet Chewy, and that was cool too. I got to meet Brian, of course. He awesome people. I had a few folks traveling with Jim. You see him a lot in the chat. Jim was out there with us last night. He actually secured the site early on Friday to make sure that we had that site. So that was
Very
awesome.
cool.
They did that. Anything else?
Jim travels in style too, and comfort.
We had who else we have out there? We had a couple of folks from paranormal groups that I knew from way back when, and they had always had interest in being out there going on a Sasquatch expedition. So I invited them out. They knew Jim very well, so that was really good. My wife made it up to the site too, so she got to meet everybody as well.
Right.
Jen had her office assistant there as well. And apparently both Chewy and Jen's pup had tired themselves out earlier in the day with each other, wrestling around and playing. So, really, really great time. We also had Pops, Steve Poppleton, good friend of ours named Pops. He's new to New York, but he's a longtime Georgia researcher.
Right.
Georgia BFRO, and he's just moved up to the western part of the state. So it was nice getting him hooked up with Mike, and because he really wants to, get things done. And we actually met Ben Christian, who is a Pennsylvania BFRO, real good guy. He actually won the calling contest, the adult division of the calling contest, and really solid guy. Former Army, just got out of the Army not too long ago.
Yeah.
Solid guy. Really, really enjoyed his company as well. And I think we had a solid crew. We didn't do anything too structured last night. It was kind of like more of a social event, and at the same time being an area that it was because obviously it wasn't a field team event. I have a field team, and usually when we get the field team together, there's a sit rep of, okay, we're going to do this, and this. And
Angel Nolan said, I was there, watched your presentation, but couldn't stay all day for the others, had a prior commitment.
Well, thank you, Angel. I wish you had stopped by and said hello.
Yeah.
You're out at the show. Swing by, say hello. We love you guys. I want to put the names to faces. And the funny thing is, there was a couple of folks that one gentleman had walked up and he had said, yeah, I had a sighting about what did he say, about 14 years ago. And I looked at him. I go, yeah, you were driving from Rutland, Vermont to Ticonderoga, and you had your sighting on Route 4 up by the apple orchard. And he's like, yeah, you remembered? Of course I remember. That's what we do. Hey, and Charlie Wonton snuck in, and so did Nikki from Sasquatch Secrets. Hello, guys. So yeah, it was. So anyway, let's get into a little bit of fun here. First of all, a little bit of news that before Bronco creates the Bronco Sasquatch Searcher, they have a contest going on. Win a Ford Bronco Sasquatch Edition, the Badlands Sasquatch Edition. They actually have one of those now. Believe it or not, I had a recall notice on my Bronco Sport. So when I had that in, they actually had a Bronco Badlands Sasquatch Edition there.
Oh, really?
And boy, was I jealous.
Oh, that's cool and everything, but I
But
love
now
it.
they are definitely in with the Sasquatch lore and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
If you look up the Broncos Sasquatch Edition, you'll go to the Ford website and they got all kinds of commercials and stuff about the contest. So,
Well, I'm going to have to enter that.
Not quite sure what the contest is exactly. But I guess they're leaving online clues, and again, I don't know. So I just really got that information before the showtime. So I'll be checking that out at some point with the 10 gazillion things I have to do tomorrow.
With the prices of everything, I have not purchased a brand new vehicle. Now, I bought used ones, but not a brand new one since 1994. That's a long time to go without a new vehicle.
Well, maybe you can win one.
Yeah.
And the neat thing, like on the full size Broncos, you see those little arms on the front of the vehicle. Right on the front of the hood there above the head. Right. Well,
like
those can be used as number one. You can use them as tie downs, but you can also use them for clamps for something like a GoPro or a camera.
Oh,
that's why they put them there. Yeah. So it's like really a cool neat thing.
Did you know the Broncos have a bottle opener feature inside?
Yes, I do. And I know what you're talking about. Poor Suzanne. Poor Suzanne.
Suzanne here tonight. I don't know if she's here or not.
Yes. Hello, Diane. Good to see you as well, Diane. Patrick Barron in the house as well. I see everybody's kind of sneaking in tonight.
Yeah, I said hello to Charlie and Nikki a while ago, but I think I was muted. Yeah, because I was pouring my ski. Sorry, guys.
Oh, well, I got him too. So, but yep. So that is the overhead drone shot of Whitehall and the contest area, which is on the left side of the screen there, all along the shoreline, and that actually stretches almost down the whole right down to the marina.
Right. Wow, that's a lot of people there. Golly.
Right. And if you look at that little bunch of trees that's cropped between the amphitheater and the pavilion that's there.
I see the crowd area there.
Right. Well, just below that is as you go lower, the pavilion there. Right under the trees, that's where myself, Mike, and Paul Bartholomew, Bob, Bruce Hallenbach, and Brian Goslin was a little bit down the road a bit there from us, but that's where me, Mike, or rather myself, Mike, Paul, and Bruce were down in that area. And Emily too. Emily was also there. So that's where we were hiding out. We kind of get the nice shady area, so it's like we're not beating in the sun all day long.
Got to have the shade. That's right.
Even though I have a easy up, so I'm under a tent.
Yeah.
It's a great event. As I have to bring, you have to provide your own table and your own pop-up. That's fine. I do every year. I have a pop-up just in case I get an outdoor event that doesn't provide one.
You never know when it's going to rain.
Right.
And especially, the sun's going to be up. So,
right.
3rd-degree burns.
Absolutely. But the weather,
tractor too.
I don't think the weather got above 72 or 74 degrees yesterday. So the weather was just perfect. It wasn't breezy, but it was zero, very low humidity, not very breezy, which was nice because we didn't have to worry about things blowing around. Sometimes you get that,
right,
at outdoor events. And it was just what a chill event, but it goes by so damned fast.
Yeah.
You sit there, I get there, I pack out, load out. I got there at 10 after 9 in the morning. It starts at 10 o'clock. Got my stuff up, with like 10 minutes to spare, which is fine. And, the show opens up and, people are wandering through there anyway. I mean, even if people show up at 9:30, they're not going to say, oh, you can't walk through here. They just it's a public park.
Right.
So, and before you know it, I look at my watch, it's 1:00. I look down, and I talked at 11:15. So I come back, it's, noontime, talk some more to people. And, before you know it, it's 2:00 in the afternoon. And then at 4:00, 2 hours later, I go on at 4:15 with the round table at 4:15. And that's the crowd for the round table and the calling contest.
Yeah.
And it's just wall-to-wall people and a very great responsive crowd, happy crowd.
Yeah.
And
well, everybody's out there to have a good time, and that means a lot. You're out there and getting some nice.
That's right.
Nice weather.
That's right. There is a soda company out there that has Bigfoot Whiz. I wish I had.
Are you kidding? Really?
I wish I had got some because it has a really cool bottle that I could have capped and put on my shelf behind me.
Bigfoot Whiz. That's
Bigfoot Whiz.
That's a thing, really.
Well, it's their brand of soda.
Bigfoot Whiz.
So yeah, really, really, really cool. So that was the
Mike, was it any good? He said, I have to admit, I would try it. Yeah, sure. I'd try
it's a locally crafted soda. What's there not to like about it?
Right.
There was a lot. They actually had a place there serving Bigfoot pizza, which was a pizza shaped like a Bigfoot, like a foot of a big So there was a lot of it's by Bigfoot Beans. But so it's really, really a cool time there. The calling contest, that was a lot of fun too. As you can see, my infamous one. I keep the crowd laughing and keep them engaged. And Mick's got a great question. We'll get to that in 1 second. But as you can see, now this gentleman, very, very curiously, him and his girlfriend or one of his friends came up, and the female went first, but they wanted to let me know before they came up there that they were both from Melbourne, Australia.
Oh, how cool is that?
Yeah. And I said, let me guess, you're not doing a Sasquatch call, you're doing a Yowie call.
Yowie, right.
And they're like, yes. They're all excited that we knew of the Yowie and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. And the gentleman doing this, his name is Cody Green, and he's actually a lecturer and a piano teacher at the University of Melbourne, Australia. Originally from London, but he is a teacher and professor at the University of Melbourne. And he got up there and he belted quite a very authentic, crisp call. And Mike, actually, Tactical Bigfoot Research, was one of the judges. And what happens is if you look to the right of the screen, all the judges have their backs turned, so they can never see.
Right.
This is not the front of the stage. This is actually a picture of the stage from the side.
Okay. So the judges are on the right facing the water, right?
Right, correct.
They're not looking at who's doing the call.
Right. So he's faced towards the crowd.
Okay.
Well, the people you see there, the heads of the people, those are the contestants. So they're shooting the side. So what happens is the contestants come up. I get the mic. If they want to hold the mic, they can hold the mic. Some like to, do that type of thing to make their voice a little more. And so they'll do that. And, of course, there's some jokesters and there's some really damn good calls. And it always seems that the really good calls are usually the ones that win. And how did Mr. Green do? Well, Mr. Green did get third place.
All right.
And behind him is the second place winner. And Ben from Pennsylvania was the first place winner. But it was really special that we had an Australian show up there, probably for the first time, and actually win third place in the calling contest. Yeah. And really neat little trophies this year. They have first, second, and third prize, and they get a cash prize or a coupon prize too for winning.
Well, I noticed from the crowd size there that the event is really growing this year. Mm-hmm. Quite a few more people than last
It's getting a lot of local press and traction.
Yeah.
And then between us, between me and advertising and talking about it, Mike and talking about it, Emily Fleur talking about it, Paul, and I saw that. Yes, thank you, Mick.
Thank you, Mick. Wow.
And Mick has a good question. Did anybody share new credible encounters? It was very quiet this year for encounters. Of course, there was a lot of funny thing is I got a very anecdotal report today of all things, because if anybody knows is that my Bronco is a Bigfoot Bronco, not by manufacturer but by customization.
You started the Sasquatch Edition Bronco.
I did start that. And of course, I got my at SquatchDTV rockers on 3 sides of my vehicle. And I have my back window is covered in different organizational stickers and some decals and some cutouts. And
what Ford should have done was had the Squatch Detective Edition Bronco.
That's right.
What they should have done.
But anyway, so I got actually today somebody came up, and it was an older gentleman. He says, he looked at the side of my truck and he started walking up. I rolled down my window. I was waiting for my pizza. And he ended up basically saying, he goes, my father in the 70s had a Bigfoot sighting at Racket Lake. He was canoeing, and so I was like, wow, all right, So that was,
Racket Lake, that's near Whitehall?
No, it's a little west, but it is in the Adirondack State Park.
Okay.
So that was really kind of cool.
There's Jim.
There he is. What's going on, Jim? And First Kind, welcome, First Kind. And First Kind is now a new member, so enjoy the membership area. New Hampshire Sasquatch was the guy with the Pringles can for last year participating. It was a solid call. I don't know. I do not know. And New Hampshire Sasquatch, I believe that's going to be, is that Matt, if I recall? He was up there as well, and at our research sighting, and I'm looking forward to Matt got a very interesting video, not necessarily of our hairy cryptid the night before, so I'm looking forward to getting that and sending it off to my UAP folks. Not very uncommon there, truthfully.
Henry,
what's going on? Okay, that's Evan. Good to see you, Evan.
Yeah, more people must be getting home. We're getting more people rolling in.
Yeah.
All welcome,
yes.
Children, all welcome.
Yeah, and excellent, Shane.
Oh my God.
Eyes in the Woods. Thank you so much.
Eyes in the Woods. I cannot believe you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That is so awesome. We try. We and you know what? And let me do a little house cleaning first. We are kind of changing this show a little bit because as the times go by, times change. And what we're trying to do is make this a more of an awareness, educational program rather than just another interview show, because everybody's doing interview shows now. So we are focused on educating and evaluating evidence and the occasional guest. We don't have to have a guest on every week. It's not part of what we do anymore because, hey, we were the first ones to start that back in 2006, to have 2 people, a host and a co-host, sitting down with a guest each week and talking and doing panels and doing all that. We were the first. We were doing it long before YouTube was a thing. And, we moved late to YouTube in 2019 because we were loyal for many years to Blog Talk Radio.
Right.
And it was time to upgrade, update. And then after 5 years, now over 5 years of doing it here on YouTube, it's time to kind of shift that focus a little bit to a little something different. So we're going to try to educate and have some fun with things, and at the same time evaluate evidence, show our expedition findings, and at the same time, have the occasional witness. Like the last one we had was Dr. John Baranchak, clinical psychologist, excellent guy. And that's what we love. I mean, you think about this year, we've had Dr. Baranchak on, Professor Harder, Dr. Hart, Dr. Meldrum. We've had a lot, and that was something I want to do: get more of the academics on here, and there's going to be more to come. And so, stay tuned.
Those were the ones with Dr. Meldrum and Dr. Hart. They were great. Good shows. If you haven't caught those yet, check them out.
Check them out.
They're good.
And we will also dig into our archives and talk about other sightings that we've investigated, and we will rehash them, because it's important to rehash legitimate sightings, not the recycled garbage we see every few years that people put out there so they can get clicks on their Facebook page, Instagram page, TikTok, Twitter, all that fun stuff. So,
well, I like the interactions with our audience, because we've got the sharpest people that anybody could ever hope for, and they bring up some of the greatest questions and talking points that we ever hope to talk about. These guys are great.
Yep. And Eyes in the Woods says she really appreciates how respectful you are of people's experience, and truthfully, that's true. And I talked about that yesterday a little bit. Is that, just because somebody has a woo experience, that doesn't mean I'm going to sit there and start arguing with them. That's their experience. Who am I to say they didn't experience it? But, we have to look at it from a context and maybe try to hash it out in our minds. But everybody, like I said, everybody's entitled to their opinions. They're just not entitled to their own facts. And that's the way I feel. So, yes, we'd also like to thank Diet Peach Snapple. No. And you're right. I try to be really respectful, and I've listened to people who believe that there's a UFO Bigfoot connection. I listen to these folks. There's no sense not to, because, like I say, there's we look at the discourse in the country, one shutting off the other one, shutting down people with opposing views to you. I find that reprehensible.
Yeah.
You need to listen to one another.
Gotta be
on opposing sides of the argument.
Right.
That's why in the past we've had Ben Redford and Kenny Biddle on. If I had Joe Nichols information, I'd have Joe Nichol on. It's good to hear that other side. If we hear the other side, it strengthens our arguments, in a good sense, right?
It's good to have an open mind, but yet not be gullible. But when you listen to somebody's experience, you're just hearing them out. So
Right.
That's not an investigation.
Right. So yeah, I try to be respectful of everybody's encounter and experience. Elton.
Yes.
And by the way, I'm sorry I missed your call last week. Chris can tell you, last week for me was like,
yeah, it was a busy time. Steve's worn out. I can tell he's worn out.
Yeah, I'm a little beat this week, but having fun. Right, exactly. And Jim makes the great point. Have an open mind, but not so open that your brains fall out. Very true.
Perfect.
Right. And one of the things that you learn as a forensic interviewer or forensic interrogator is there's a couple of methods. Now, the read method tends to be a little confrontational, but well, yes, Mick, I kind of agree with you there. But anyway, one thing you do as an interviewer is you let people talk, and I don't have to disagree with them to their face. and if they ask me, well, this is where I stand. This is the reason why I believe it, but I don't make it about them or their encounter or their experience, and that's the key to it. When somebody says, well, I had this happen to me and that happened to me and this happened to me, you change that dichotomy of the discussion to, well, I don't feel that it's necessarily paranormal, because now you're taking them out of the equation, so it doesn't become personal to them.
Yeah.
Right. I've always lived by the saying, tact is the art of getting your point across without making an enemy. And I've always lived by that mantra. It's why I can walk in many different circles in this field. It's why I can have discussions with people on the woo side, people who hate one another, and be friendly to both of them, because I don't get involved in people's personal, dichotomies. I stay in my lane, or I try to stay in my lane. The time when I come out of my lane is obviously when somebody is trying to hoax or put one over on the community. That's where I step out of my lane. Definitely one of the sorry, I'm hydrating quite a bit today.
Well, I'm on my second ski already, so.
But yeah, so
So you guys had like a get together after the big to do, right?
we sure did. Now, I didn't take many pictures because by the time we got up there, it was nighttime. Night had fallen, so I didn't want to blind everybody with the camera. Yeah. But we did have a couple of really fun things, and one of the things is that a lot of people don't know is that when I went down to Pennsylvania, my darn FLIR Scout TK decided to crap out, and it was because the receiver in the unit broke. So where the charging port broke, I plug it in, it wasn't charging. I pull the plug out, and the receiver that's in the unit came out with it. And I was never really impressed. I mean, it was good as a tool, but it was really difficult sometimes when you're in the woods, especially up in the areas. Like if you get a rock that gets heated up pretty well, or a tree that gets pretty heated up pretty well, it was really hard to tell the difference between a live object in that heated up rock.
Right.
But I will say this, the new thermal, which I got a Lorex thermal camera. And it's bigger than a FLIR Scout. It's a little bit wider. It's a little bit longer. Weighs maybe about 4 or 5 ounces heavier.
I was impressed with the FLIR Scout, the one you brought to Kentucky, because we were able to look through some at some deer through that thing.
Yeah,
they were
absolutely. Yeah,
really
but
good.
the issue with the FLIR Scout is it has a very slow refresh rate in the monocle. So when things start moving, things look kind of I'm off.
Blobby.
A
little blobby.
Yeah. The only downside I see of the Lorex is that it's, when it recalibrates, it takes a little bit of a longer recalibration than the FLIR Scout does. But the picture quality, the way it makes heated objects pop, are really wonderful. And
that's probably why it takes a little bit longer. It's processing more information.
Right. Yep. It's got a higher refresh rate, so when you see something walking, it's fluid. It's not like blurry or herky jerky or anything like that.
Right.
So here's a little story from last night, and the really cool thing about the Lorex is that you connect it to an app on your phone. You can look at it through your phone if you want. You can Wi-Fi it to your phone. Okay, so I can put it on a tripod and watch it. But what it does is when you do that, it calibrates the time to the unit and the date. Now, although the time and date stamp are not on the video, it is on the file. So when I have the file, it tells me the date and time of the file. It doesn't number it like file 1, file 2, file 3.
Right.
It puts the time, it'll say like 158, 930 or 929.
Right.
24. So you have a solid date on the metadata. And that's really awesome. Takes video, takes audio, has a SD card, a mini SD card slot, and which means because the FLIR Scout TK had, I think, onboard storage, I think, of 32 gigabyte. I put a 128 gigabyte in the Lorex, so it can take up to 256 gigabyte. So it has a lot more room in it thanks to that little. And if it makes the unit a little bit bigger, so be it. It's still light enough to hang around my neck, to use it as a scope, a monocular, and it's got a tripod mount, so which the FLIR Scout did not. So if I wanted to put it on a tripod, set it over there on a wide shot, I can sit there on my phone and put the phone down or a tablet and sit there and watch the unit from afar instead of being at it or having to handle it.
Well, that's a cool feature. That Bluetooth with the phone.
Not only that, but I can, when you do it that way, you can actually, if you're on the actual tablet, you can record it off the device's recording, rather than having to record it off the device.
Okay.
So, so that's really a really cool feature of that. But let me lead up to this story. So here, Brian from, well, first of all, let's take a look at a little bit of a video that this was actually the base camp here. And there is everybody. You can see it takes a few seconds for it to recalibrate because of the fire nearby. But there is everybody. There is Sasquatch Wizard Adirondacks over there.
The definition is great. Yeah.
It's and that's further out, obviously. And that's pretty much you get some really good definition off that. Let me lead up to this. And this is why those tools are important. Now, the FLIR Scout wasn't bad as a tool. But the other cool thing about the Lorex that the FLIR Scout doesn't do is you can zoom with the FLIR Lorex. You can zoom with the Lorex. So it has up to 8 times magnification on that. And it actually has a port on the front of it that if you wanted to put instead of using digital zoom and you wanted to put a telephoto lens on it, you can probably find a telephoto lens that you can put on the end of it and even refine it further and zoom further. But without getting over pixelization. But Brian and I, from Brian and Chewy Go Hiking, we kind of plop out to the road and very close to the area where I had my sighting. This is to the north. My sighting was actually to the south, which is the opposite direction the video starts. I do actually put the camera up in that direction for a quick second. So that's where I had my sighting. You'll see that very briefly, where my Bigfoot in 2011 was standing. But I start therming down the road and I'm seeing this bipedal figure walking through. And we kind of chuckle about this. There was no light, no flashlight. We could hear something, but we didn't see any flashlights going or any headlamps or anything like that. So here we are.
Walking along in the dark.
And that is quite a distance out, obviously.
Yes.
Yes. So now we're so I'm trying to zoom in to see if, there's anything. Of course, it's going to recalibrate for a few seconds because when you start zooming in, it wants to, and you can see it recalibrate to the right.
But my God, look at that signature.
Right. You can't miss it. And you can see the rock on the right-hand side that's, relatively hot. But you can see that the temperature differentiations are very different.
Right.
And as you pull out and things get brighter, it recalibrates itself. So it gives you that nice. Now, the other cool thing, if I wanted to put heat tracking on this, I could put heat tracking on it. And you would have a little red crosshair moving with the object. So now you can see right now I'm in 2X. And you can see I'm recording off the mini SD card and my battery strength. So I always have that on board. And of course, the time of recording, it records the time span. Now, at that point, so there I am flashing up the other side of the road. That's where I had my setting was up that way. Right. But as I'm going, you clearly, and I'm looking because by now I've already determined there's some cold spots on the subject, and that's likely John Sasquatch Wizard Adirondacks walk in there. You can even see more definition of the equipment he's carrying because
Well, that's the thing. Even at a great distance, you could tell that's a bipedal something walking.
Right.
It's not just a blob.
Right. And then as it gets closer, you can see the gear and the equipment very, very clearly. There's my sighting area again. And I just kept it up there for a little bit. And now we'll go back, and should be just about done. You'll see me. There's John right there. And boom.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, to me, the definition on this thing is out of this world good. Now, we're talking about for a piece of equipment that is affordable for the average researcher, not being able to break up their paycheck too bad.
Maybe not so much.
Well,
that scope runs anywhere from $500 to $700.
Well, yeah, but I'm not talking
it's
about
still under $1,000
thermal scope. Right. All right, you know.
And should I break it to the crew what I paid for that? So yes, Grasshopper makes a great point too about the flare. Flares are rechargeable or pain in the butt to keep charged. Yeah, the FLIR Scout, I would charge it fully, stash it, and within 3-4 days, the battery was dead. Yeah, the battery just discharged. Something completely different I'm noticing with the Lorex. The Lorex, I charge, it keeps its charge. In fact, I didn't move. It took me all of 15 minutes, and I was using it quite a bit yesterday. I just recorded a little bit here and there, but I probably used it for a couple hours last night, and it didn't even take it down to bar.
They should make those things to use like 4 lithium-ion 18650 cells. You know, those things are last forever.
Right, so what happened was I came back and I was going to order another type of thermal unit. And for whatever reason, the shipper of that was jerking me around a bit. They hadn't shipped it after 8 days. And when I asked about getting a shipping number and everything like that, they told me to be patient. Now I said, well, I'll tell you to be patient, cancel. And I canceled the order. It's been 8 days. I paid for it 8 days ago and you haven't shipped it yet. And now you're telling me to be patient. No, sorry. You told me it shipped from the U.S. I knew what's going on there. They didn't have it in stock, so they ordered it from China, and it was going to come from China to them and then them to me. Sorry, that doesn't work out for me. You said it was coming from the U.S. That's why I ordered it for you folks.
Right.
So I cancel.
I ran into that with some engine parts. 8 to 12 weeks if they come from China. 8 to 12 weeks. That's a long time.
Henry, yes, the AGM Taipan 280, that is the same sensor I'm using in the Lorex. The sensor in the FLIR Scout is a 160, so it is a lesser thermal sensor. That's why it's so much clearer, because it's actually a step up in the sensor size within the unit. So here is the sad, well, not a sad thing. It was great for me. But I wanted to get one with a sensor. I wanted to see if I could get a step up from the FLIR Scout. And I knew they were going to run about $500 to $700. So I just typed in the sensor number and boom, this ad popped up on Google from Crutchfield, which is a very reputable company.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? $269? And I go to the site, and it was a scratch and dent sale. And they had one for this $500 to $700 scope, depending on where you can get it sourced from.
Right.
For $269. So I get the package, and 2-day free shipping. Ordered it on Sunday night, had it on a Wednesday because they ship it out Monday. Had it on a Wednesday. Got it Wednesday early afternoon. So I was like, oh, I got plenty of time. In fact, I don't know if I was on the phone. I was on the phone with somebody. Gotta go. My new thermal's here. I open up the box, the shipping box, and here's the Lorex, and it's sealed. And I'm like going, and I'm looking at the box. The box is dented.
Hmm.
So I open up this box, and this box has so much insulation, hard insulation in it that, right, the unit was perfect.
Right.
Not a scratch on it, not a dent on it, nothing. It
Right.
was the box that was dented. So because that box got dented a little bit,
Yeah.
I got a $500 to $700 scope for $269.
Yeah.
You
Very
know, and
affordable.
yeah, under $300 for that scope.
Right.
And you know, considering that, you know, a few years ago, my Night XP, my Night Owl XP that I bought, which folks, we've shown that here before, and I've actually got to show in person to a bunch of people yesterday. Like, wow, everybody was quite impressed with the depth of vision of that as
Right.
well. That was, you know, only about $30 less than this one. I think I paid $225 or $230 for that. So I got a upgraded thermal imager for a little bit, $30 more than I got my night vision for. So that was just luck.
Yeah, and if you're looking at that night owl, night vision binoculars thing, keep in mind the one that Steve and I got had the 4-inch screen, 4-inch monitor. So if they have a cheaper version, it's going to have a smaller screen inside. So when you're looking at it,
Well, I know
keep that in mind.
Helton asked me, Chris, asked me, what is the scratch and dent site, Steve? Well, I got it through Crutchfield, but Crutchfield doesn't carry thermal binoculars. For whatever reason, they must have got a hold of this one or whatever, but the box was dented, or maybe they had him for a little while and the box was dented and they were looking to get rid of it. And
Crutchfield is normally like home electronics, though, isn't it?
right,
Like
yes,
stereo.
yep. And Lorex is a camera maker. I mean, they make cameras, and so solid company, and solid, you know, retailers. So, but you can check out crutchfield.com, and
See if they got a thing on their website, scratch and dent. You know, I
right.
think Best Buy does that. They have like open box or something section you can look
Got to
at.
be careful because, you know, I've actually looked at their scratch and dent reductions, and they're not that great.
Right.
They may take 10 or 20% off.
Yeah, or
This
20
sucker was
bucks
60.
off of $1,000
Right,
TV.
right. And their regular retail price of this particular unit was $699.
Right.
So, you know, it was like 60% off of what their,
Right.
you know, what their normal price was.
Well, you know, you're not going to keep the box anyway. You're going to toss it. So what does it matter if the box is a little beat up?
So Brian says, if I have time, you know, I really need to be educated. Well, Brian, tell you what, you know, at some point, reach out to me this week. Not tomorrow afternoon. Oh God. But if you want to reach out to me tomorrow night, you know, after 5 p.m., absolutely. Reach out and you know, we can discuss. I can send you some sites and stuff like that as well. But
The best Christmas presents I ever got are the ones I bought for myself. That's right. That's right. But who knows what you want more than you know?
Well, you know, it's like you know, that's why my favorite present is an Amazon gift card.
Yeah, yeah.
And it is. I swear to God, it is. I love
That's
Amazon
right.
gift cards because then I can use it as I need. Oh, good. I need you know, I need rechargeable batteries. I can buy
Right,
myself a
right.
buttload of
Exactly.
rechargeable batteries. Or and hello, Boris Khan. Boris kind of wandered in.
Boris?
Mongolian barbecue. Delicious.
Wow.
No, today, you know, now you got us talking about food.
Oh, the Mongolian barbecue. Oh, yeah, especially. And my wife, Sandy, she loves that stuff. We went to the Chinese restaurant, well, not too long ago, but they had a guy over there, and he was doing the Mongolian grill and stuff.
Yep.
And that little woman came out of there with a plate stacked up like this high. And, you know, how she ever made it through all that, I'll never know. But it would have been enough to fill me up.
New Hampshire Sasquatch, if you're talking about that video, send it over to me too.
Let's have a look. Oh, Brian. Yeah.
Okay, feel better, Brian. I know that
Yeah.
knee's been
Take care of
bothering you,
yourself,
so
bud.
good luck to
Yeah.
you.
Gotta
And of
get
course,
that knee
anybody
working.
that's anybody that's got an ailment or anything like that, please let us know. We'll put you in our prayers for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But my God, I woke up this morning, everything hurt, even my neck. I was like, oh, what did I do to myself? But again, I get myself moving and rolling, and I feel a lot better. So
Yeah. Well, this week has been rough in Kentucky. You know, I'm not saying I had it rougher than the guys in Tennessee and North Carolina, but as generally as an old person, when it gets damp and cool weather, if you have ailments from stupid decisions from when you were younger, you tend to feel those. They come back to haunt you, and it's been
they
that way
sure
all
do.
week. Nature's female hound.
Yes. But man, what an incredible weekend. And you know, the only unfortunate thing is that in my research area, usually the September is a very noisy month.
Right.
Acorns are dropping.
Yeah.
We have trees that actually drop some of their limbs in preparation for wintertime. They have these knuckles on them, and the knuckles will and they'll just fall off in a breeze, even if it's a light breeze. And they do that because they're trying to get their load. They're trying to, um, you know, release snow load. Um, um,
What's this
um,
$2 steak? What's it? Hey, I saw $1.99 steak in Vegas back during the '80s.
I don't know. The last time I bought a $2 steak, you could still see the marks where the jockey was hitting it.
They used to do that in Vegas. So they would have like $1.99 buffet or
Right.
$1.99 steak dinner advertised in front of the casinos, or the guy on the street would hand you a coupon.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, Sharon just snuck in. Hello, Sharon.
Hi, Sharon.
The funny thing is that you know, and I know I'm just getting back to that comment that Angela made that I did my presentation, and my presentation this year was at the request of the organizers. You know, they were trying to have everybody touch on something different, so that's the reason why I talked about what I talked about yesterday, and we don't have you know,
What were some of the
luckily.
things you were talking about, Steve?
Well, I did talk a lot about my book, kind of like my book. I talk a little bit about um, the investigative process. I talk
Right.
about understanding Bigfoot claims and like some of the things, and you know, some of the highlights. You know, would be obviously things that don't make sense in stories, like why would somebody be using a video camera and then because somebody screamed, they put the camera down and grab a firearm. When
Yeah.
it makes no sense, that would have been their first reaction had they
Right.
felt threatened. Um,
Somebody peek in my window, I'm reaching. I don't care who it is.
you know, the other I talk about, you know, when you see a big hairy beast in the woods, your first inclination is not to pull out your phone and go, "Oh, come here, little Sasquatch! Look at the Sasquatch." When you have a little one by you, your
Yeah.
first inclination, and that's why I love getting the audience participating. Like, you're a mom, right? Yeah. Well, what's your first thing? I'm
Right.
getting my kid out there.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I pulled a little social experiment too. I said, I got two speakers here and I measured them earlier, and one is bigger than the other. How many people think the one over here is bigger? A bunch of hands go up. How many people think the speaker over here is hands go up? Now, you see, just because I said that to you, people that raise their hands believe me. So the whole idea is don't believe everything you hear. They're actually the same size. And that's how quick people can be fooled. So when you read something on the internet, do your research and cross check it always. I don't care if it's coming from the greatest of sources. Double check it. Even my own stuff, double check it, because I've been wrong before, and I'm willing to admit I've been wrong before and willing to correct it. And that's one of the things that we pride ourselves here on this channel is we're not going to stick by something that's false.
Right. And a lot of people, I don't know what it is, but these modern times, it seems like most people are ashamed to admit that they're wrong, or ashamed to admit they don't know something.
Yep.
Rather than say 3 simple words, I don't know, they come
Uh,
up with some sort of bogus explanation, blah 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 blah.
Well, you know what I love is the Indiana conference was this weekend as well. Matt pointed out. Hello, Matt. Good to see you, brother.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about Whitehall, it's becoming one of the biggest festivals in the country. It's bigger than the Ohio Bigfoot Conference, with attendees. It's not as big as the Hocking Hills one. The Hocking Hills gets about, last year I think they had 50,000.
That's a lot.
This year, like I said, the estimates I believe were around 6,000 for Whitehall.
Just a constant sea of people walking past the cameras when you had that live filming it.
Yeah, but there was a constant sea of people walking by us yesterday too.
Right.
And everywhere you went, there was people. It was just amazing. And it's cool because they one of the local establishments is the Rail Yard. They're a bar and restaurant, and they have a beer tent. So, it's fun for adults. They have a bouncy house, so it's fun for the kids. They have face painting. They had the skateboarding Sasquatches yesterday. And, so it's a lot of fun for everybody. And, they just the state had put up a historical marker next to the statue, the wooden statue that they had carved 30 years ago. That's in front of the community center. And they put a state marker up there. We showed that before.
Yeah.
On the channel, and people were taking pictures with that. People were taking pictures with the carved statue. People were it's just such a fun family event, and it's really cool. Of course, when kids come up, I love to get them to take the 4-day cast. I said, they said, is it okay if he gets a picture with you? I tell you what, here, you want to hold the cast? Yeah. So I have I have them hold the cast, give them an experience, get them to touch it. That's why I have that the 4-day cast. I let people touch and feel. The other ones I have, and now I have 3 to my collection. I have a Patterson cast. I have the Al Hodgson 1963 Willow Creek cast, and I have the 1990s Forest Ranger cast in Washington and the Olympic Peninsula that they had lifted the dermal ridges off. I have a copy of that one as well.
Well, I think it's important that you let the kids pick it up because they can make a connection with it,
Yes.
rather than just seeing something in a display case.
Right.
That's great.
And that's the fun thing is that, we're switching more to education, and that's what I love about these things. It's about education. And because I'm an author, it makes it a little profitable, and that's good because it helps, it's another way of helping support operations and stuff like, my book sales got my thermal, it paid for my thermal, and that's, that's good. That's a good thing. That's the reason why I do a lot of this stuff is because it just betters the research, betters the information. And, if it puts gas in my tank to get somewhere to investigate, even better. So that's the reason why. And that's why we appreciate the viewers here. And that's why I appreciate the members here. And that's why I appreciate, people like, Eyes in the Woods throwing, doing a nice little donation like that. It's very much appreciated. You help make this channel what it is. I talked about in the member section that I don't think Eyes in the Woods knew is that beginning next month, StreamYard decided to raise their prices by 80%. 80%, almost doubled it. Because they got sold out in April or May of this year. And the new company loves raising prices, and they've shown that with other ventures they've bought or purchased. So how long will StreamYard be here? I don't know, because usually when you have something like that, you have a mass exodus of people. And there are a lot of people, including in our own niche here, the Bigfoot community, there's a lot of people saying, well, I'm done with StreamYard. I'm going to go to Restream, or I'm going to go to, OSB, or I'm going to, we're experimenting right now. We're experimenting right now with a, hang on. Let's check this out here real quick. Oh, hang on. I got it. Maybe I can get this picture up here. This is a pretty cool one coming up because Traveling with Jim just sent me a picture, and That's kind of cool. We'll put this one up here. But it's now, why is that? Oh, I know why. It's not my. It's a text message, not a Facebook message. Okay, I can't show it right now. But usually, what happens is that when you get a mass exodus of people, what happens with that? What happens with the? Hey, there's Mrs. Trackway. Excellent, excellent. Well, we're so glad. Be safe out there, Mrs. Trackway. And again, thanks to Deb, Mrs. Trackway, Bill, and Jen. Thanks for coming out last night. It was a pleasure seeing you guys again. As always, had a lot of fun with you. And
we had a question from Mick earlier, but before we get to Mick's question, Sasquatch Wizard Adirondack said, Steve, we all could have had a good laugh if everyone had seen me wipe out on the edge of that road just down over the hill. Nearly fell a long ways if it weren't for landing on my knee and thermal.
And thankfully his thermal still worked. That was the story. Actually, the video I showed, the thermal video I showed you, that was the story he told us when he came back up. I nearly wiped out. Far be it from me, but if you used a flashlight, maybe you wouldn't have fallen off.
Well,
we've all been there.
John, that's the way it works out, man. When you do something really great, 99% of the time, nobody's there to see it. And if you do something really silly or really dumb, the world is watching. And that's always the thing.
Now, Henry says, been noticing that StreamYard has been pretty poor quality. Yeah, their quality has gone down. I don't know if it's affected this podcast too much. I know they claim at times there's a bad we're having a bad internet connection. I'm not having a bad internet connection. I'm almost sure that it's their software, and they're having issues. As we found out, remember we were using the macro board, the soundboard, right, and that was working fine for a couple of months until the new company took over, and then we had gotten that hot mic. So the audio issues that are going on with StreamYard is they changed their software that if you're using a Rodecaster or a soundboard as a go-between between your microphone and the computer, StreamYard is having a real hard time working with that. And that's what's causing the audio issues. Doesn't have anything to do with StreamYard maybe itself, but it's just the integration between those platforms. So if you want to continue using your soundboards, you may have to go someplace else. If you want to cut out the soundboard, and that's what we did. We were trying everything to fix that hot mic issue. And finally, let me take the soundboard out, and then it was fixed. We haven't had an issue since with that. But every once in a while, StreamYard will tell me my internet signal is low and try to give me like a Wi-Fi signal, and that's bullshine because I have 300. I have the ultimate internet package from Spectrum, and it's always been a great signal. Never have had any issues with it since I've upgraded and since I moved here, because all our lines are underground. So we don't have any issues with any of that. And not to mention, I am not on Wi-Fi. I'm actually directly plugged in via Ethernet. So there's no reason why I should be having any weak signal all of a sudden. So, but every once in a while, StreamYard will say, "Oh, you have a weak signal." So I do think there are having some problems with platforms, and that goes to my absolutely sleep with one eye open.
Your internet service provider is constantly working to provide better service, not worse. So
right.
Back years ago, I could barely get online in Kentucky, and now I've got like 200-300 meg speed.
And the other kicker is that I run so many other devices in the house at times, like never an issue. That's why that's why I pay what I pay for the internet.
Right.
I have a 2 gigabyte upload internet service. So I don't have any issues. And for whatever reason, someone else seemed like saying, "Oh, you have an internet issue." No, I don't. I do not. That's your own issue that's going on. So that's why I don't have, since we took the soundboard off, that's why we traditionally don't have any issues here. But my fear is this, is when you have a mass exodus of people off a platform for a stupid decision, like almost doubling your price.
Right.
And for some people, they were on a permanent special price of $10 a month. So imagine going from $10 a month to almost $45 a month. For what? Some people produce 4 shows a month. Some people do 2 shows a month. At $45 a month, doing 2 shows a month, you to become profitable, you would have to make, over $22 a show, $22.50 a show. And the ad rate, if you don't have the subscriber counter, you don't have a membership or anything like that, you have no way of recompensing for that. We do a lot more than 2 shows a month. We do a lot more. We do more shows than 4 shows a month, which was our standard. We used to do 4 live shows and cut a bunch of long form videos and occasional shorts. Shorts was a total waste of time. We've experimented it, we've tried it, and it just doesn't work for us very well. We get buried in whatever crazy algorithm they have. And the funny thing is, beginning of the year, our videos were getting 7,000, 8,000 views, not megastar numbers, but for us, that was pretty damn good. And then all of a sudden they dropped to a couple hundred views. It's the same type of video. Why is it doing that? So I have yet to figure out the shorts, the shorts video algorithm. But the long forms, they seem to work well when you're talking about drama. Yeah, you put out a story video, it's hit or miss. You put out a video about internet trolls and drama, oh my goodness, it goes off the charts. Where we have consistency, where we have our regular followers, where we get our most subscribers from is our live content. It's our discussions, our frank, honest talk, and it's our interaction with our audience. And that's why we feel that folks in chat, say hello. If you got a question, even though you may be a lurker, ask it. Don't be afraid to.
Yeah, that's right.
That is the one fun thing. That's the one thing we had with Blog Talk, is that people could call into the show. Now it's even easier because now people, all they have to do is do it. And who does not have a YouTube channel? Who does not have a YouTube account nowadays? Yeah.
Well, Steve, earlier, Mick said, do you consider Sasquatch paranormal or normal? I'm in the latter thought, along with many of the First Nations people.
Well, again, I kind of listened to Lou Alzondo about, what is paranormal and normal. Paranormal doesn't mean ghosty. Paranormal just means outside the norm. Is Sasquatch outside the norm? Until it's discovered, I would say yes, it's outside the norm. If somebody had a dodo sighting, or that would be outside. That would be kind of paranormal. That would be outside the norm. Paranormal is a term that's been stigmatized. Doesn't mean supernatural. There's a difference between paranormal and supernatural. Supernatural, super meaning above, natural. No, Bigfoot is not supernatural. Bigfoot is paranormal. It's outside the normal because it's not a known animal yet. And even if it is, it has a lot of features to it that are outside the norm. Like, hey, it's bipedal, but it has a mid-tarsal break. Right? Has inline toes and a mid-tarsal break. That's outside the normal. You either have a mid-tarsal break or you have inline toes. So that's outside the normal. It's potentially a great ape that walks upright. That's outside the normal. Besides us. So is it paranormal? Yes, but that doesn't mean supernatural.
Yeah, I think the paranormal to me would mean like a ghosty Bigfoot, a ghost Bigfoot.
No, that would be supernatural.
Yeah.
You see, people have confused those words, paranormal with supernatural. Paranormal means outside. Paramedic, paratrooper,
Parakeet.
Parakeet. It's outside the keet.
I think it's a biological being.
Absolutely. Well, and people ask me that, and I always say, well, you know, what supernatural entity leaves footprints, leaves hair, leaves scat, and smells bad? Right? It doesn't.
Yeah.
So
I think they have superhuman abilities. I don't think they're supernatural.
I don't think it's superhuman.
Oh, I think
I
so.
think it's normal for them. I mean,
Well,
if
yeah, but
you said
it's a beyond the capabilities of the human body to accomplish, like
So,
them running, clicking along at 35 miles an
all
hour.
right. So is a chimpanzee superhuman?
Yes, their
Fair
strength is
enough.
superhuman. Yes.
Fair enough.
Anything that is above the abilities of a human being would be superhuman.
Fair enough. Yep.
I don't think we have
Fair
Superman, Bigfoot.
Yep. So yeah,
Oh, man,
it would be very fair to say that a chimpanzee has superhuman strength.
Mm.
Yeah, because it does. It has the strength anywhere from 4 to 10 people on standard. If a chimpanzee was, and if you've ever seen the picture of the chimpanzee that lost its hair, the muscularity and the muscle density in chimpanzees is amazing.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me, and you know what? Mouth of Babes. We do this. We do this. I did a Q&A after my discussion, and there was a little girl. I think it was a little girl, maybe 5 years old, in the group with their parents. And when I ask her questions, kids love to raise their hand and ask the questions because that's ingrained into them in school.
Right.
Also, I see this hand come up, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, yes. Can Bigfoot swim? What a great question. What a great question. Right? Out of the mouth of babes.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, there's been reports of them swimming, but I take those with caution. And the reason why is chimpanzees don't swim. You know why?
Right.
Their muscle density is so heavy, so compact. They get in water and they go right to the bottom.
Right. None of the other great apes swim.
Right.
So we would consider Bigfoot to be a great ape of some type. Okay.
Well, we're the only great ape that swims. So is it possible? Maybe.
Possible.
But is it likely? I don't know, because people have reported their strength being so great. You go back to the 57, 58 era when, the Jerry Crew days, when you had supposedly these things trucking 50-gallon drums.
Right.
So who knows? All I know is that, there's been some that are reported that have swam, or whatever you want to say.
That there have been reports, but part of my research is based on the belief that they cannot.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, because of their muscle density.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, what I love about speaking, and that's amazing. You have people in the community that are so anti-conference, but there is what's tenet number 4? Responsibility to educate.
Yeah.
We have a responsibility to share what we've learned. And by doing that, we need to share good stuff, not crazy stuff or crappy stuff or pseudoscience. And that's why, there's been reports of them swimming, which seems to me unlikely in a lot of cases because of the science. So I present both sides of that, not being sure.
The Grasshopper says they have to swim to get to the BC Islands. Do they?
Very true.
But do they? Could they have not migrated to those islands at a time
Well,
when
there
was
is a
ice
lot,
still?
granted that there is areas of the Pulteney River that you can wade across between Vermont and New York. Vermont and New York up by Whitehall is separated in parts by the Pulteney River.
Right.
And at parts you can wade right across it. So who knows? I just,
Right. Yeah. It's my
we
belief that they can't swim, but I don't know that. I don't know that to be, the case.
now I do not believe there is a legitimate sighting in Hawaii. If people say they see Bigfoot in Hawaii, it may be they have some special kind of green stuff they're growing out there. They roll up into rolling papers.
Yeah,
But
there's also sightings of those little people in Hawaii, and I can't remember what they're called. Henry may be able to come up
Yeah.
with it, but there's little people they're supposedly sight in Hawaii. I'm not sure I could buy into that.
True chain, bears do swim, but bears are not primates. And you have to be, very careful because the muscle density is different. And it's true. I was told at a very, very young age by a swim instructor because even though I was a little bit fluffy, I actually have, even though I'm not huge, I have very, very dense bones and I have very, very dense muscularity. I sink when I swim. So, like I said, I'm not poo-pooing it. I'm not I'm not poo-pooing that they swim. So I don't think that or that they do or do not swim. I'm open to the possibility. That's all I can be. I think there's arguments for and against it.
Yep.
But as far as Bigfoot in Hawaii, remember, Hawaii is a volcanic island. So everything there, including cows, were not indigenous to Hawaii. They were brought there by somebody. So, again, to me, it would be really hard for a Sasquatch to be legitimately seen in Hawaii. Because they're not seen in Samoa. They're not seen in Fiji. But Australia and New Zealand were part of, the whole when everything was crunched together. So,
yeah, Hawaii would be a nice place to live. They don't have any snakes. I don't like.
They have volcanoes.
Yeah, well, I could live with a volcano
and hurricanes.
Yeah,
and tsunamis.
You live up the hill. Tsunami not going to bother you. Except the hill you live on is probably a volcano. That would be bad.
Right. and what happens when you have a tsunami? Everybody that's on the lowland comes up to the hill with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Hawaii, and do I really want to pay $7 for a gallon of milk?
Yeah, not really.
Yeah, Hawaii, nice place to visit. Wouldn't want to live there.
A good friend of mine was from Hawaii, and he had never seen snakes before because in the wild, because they don't have snakes. And we had a really good time with him because there were snakes in New Mexico, and he was terrified of them. And sorry, Brian, but yeah. If you want to scare somebody from Hawaii, take them around a live snake. I guarantee you, they will crumble
off the island. Yeah,
they will crumble. Yes.
You want to make somebody from Hawaii cry? Take them to New York in the wintertime.
Yeah. Cold or Chicago, the windy city in the winter. Oh my gosh, it's cold.
The amazing. Speaking of snakes, one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. I saw an 8-foot corn snake or milk snake, rather, black.
Oh yeah.
It's just trucking across a trail one time. I was like, "Holy crap, that's awesome!" Because as I'm looking at it, it's got these beautiful patterns on it in black. It's like almost like a black camouflage.
Right.
And it just they want nothing to do. It's like, I'm out of here. You guys are, and
Well, in Kentucky, and there's other places too. If you guys are out there in the woods, you got to be
Martha. Welcome, Martha. Yeah, that's a good possibility.
You got to be aware of the reptiles in your area because some of these snakes are venomous and they'll get you.
Right. And of course, if anybody's out in the field, the easiest way to tell if a snake is venomous versus non-venomous is the shape of its head. Venomous snakes have diamond or triangular shaped heads, whereas non-venomous snakes have rounded shaped heads.
Usually in the U.S. Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, you guys over in Australia, man, I wouldn't go outside if I lived
Everything in Australia wants to kill you.
Yes,
Everything.
I would not go outside. No.
Yes.
Stay inside with the. Oh, I guess they even got spiders that get in their house and try to kill them. So what's a guy going to do? Live in a bubble? I don't know.
Something I did not know that I learned yesterday, actually from Emily Fleur,
Hmm.
was besides primates, there's one other animal that has dermal ridges.
What?
Koala bears.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know this.
I did not know it either. I was
Koala
like,
bears
that's
have
pretty cool.
dermal ridges.
So props to Emily for teaching me. That was a pretty cool fact.
Well, yeah, I watched a thing about koala bears, but they didn't mention dermal ridges. But
Right.
what I watched about them, I came away, with a completely different opinion of koalas after I watched this special than what I had before I went into it.
Yeah. Hey, there's Kaiju Ninja 1985 saying the platypus is the most venomous. But the funny thing is platypus do have venom.
Yeah.
What a contortion of evolutionary process is the platypus. And where the hell is the platypus from? Australia.
And after Matt, when you start getting out into the woods of Kentucky, make sure you buy you a pair of snake boots that come up to your knees.
Oh, I'm sure Matt is very adept at snakes being from Florida.
They got a lot of them things in Florida too, but I think
You know,
mostly the ones.
There was a it was somewhere in either from New York or Vermont. They had found a python or a boa constrictor, rather. They found a boa out, and somebody had released their boa. They didn't want it anymore. They put it out, and so Fish and Wildlife got them, or whoever, DP, Department of Game or the Game Wardens, whatever. They got this. Actually, I think it was New York. So I think it was an Encon Ranger that got the snake. And somebody, of course, made the great comment, yeah, that's the reason why Florida is having all these Burmese python problems, is because people release their pets. But the fact is that, and Matt might not even know this, we call them free pets. But Matt I don't know if Matt knows this or not, but it turned out that the pythons that are roaming around in Florida are mostly due to I believe it was Hurricane Andrew. And there was a Burmese python sanctuary that was housing over 1,000 different Burmese pythons. And when the hurricane came in, it wiped out the sanctuary. So they all got loose. And they started DNA testing these snakes, and it turned out that they are coming back to the ones that disappeared from the sanctuary. So that was amazing. They weren't because of pets. That may be a very small number. Of course, I'm sure there are some that were released pets, but the actual proliferation of Burmese python was due to the hurricane wiping out that sanctuary.
Right.
And there's Helton saying, yep, Steve is right. It was not people releasing pets.
Right.
And of course, somebody in that Facebook thread, yeah, with people releasing their pets, that's what caused no, actuality, no. It came from, and I corrected them, and they did not respond.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm personally, I wouldn't want to keep a snake as a pet. I'm perfectly happy with a cat or a dog, but a snake is just to me is a little creepy. Some people may feel differently, and that's fine. They're just not my.
Matt, Matt brings up a great case, the Mayaka skunk ape photo. I believe that was not a Bigfoot. I agree. I agree. And, the big thing about that, too, was the person who wrote the police department, they didn't say it was a Bigfoot either.
Right.
They just said, I got this thing in my backyard. They didn't even venture a guess. It does look very orangutanish.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Florida was notorious for people having pet chimps, pet primates, capuchins, gibbons, and chimpanzees, obviously, and somebody may have had an orangutan.
Yeah. I wouldn't I wouldn't want to keep a primate for a pet either. You know, I mean,
Right.
of course, chimpanzees are cool until they get mad and rip off your face. You know?
So finding a trackway says, why did the platypus move to Whitehall? Florida was taken already by the Bubba Boa. No, actually what happened was there was a porcupine from Vermont that actually migrated them to New York.
Well,
So yes,
well,
the,
you know,
the Vermont porcupine. We all know what we're talking about there, folks.
well, I would like to introduce a species of mongoose to Kentucky to take care of some of these snakes, but I think Japan tried that years ago to get rid of poisonous snakes, and they ended up eating everything else except the snakes. So I'm not sure how that would go.
Yeah. Well, the fact is, Grass, that it wasn't a zoo in a hurricanes. It wasn't a zoo; it was a sanctuary. And it looked like a greenhouse, basically. It was built like a greenhouse because they wanted to keep that tropical temperature in the area because that's what boas lived in, was tropical temperatures. So it was a greenhouse, and then it just got flooded out, and took all the enclosures with it, because a lot of them were moved around in these very portable enclosures. But they're finding that you know, they're thinking now they're not a threat to the environment as they originally were, because they're finding out that the vultures and the predatory birds are picking off the baby pythons.
Mm.
And they actually had got this one show. It's called Python Hunters. And it was a reality series. It never really made it to any of the major networks. It made it to some of the minor networks, some really minor league networks, you know, like the Outdoor Life or something like that. And they actually had video of some sort of falcon flying away, and in its mouth you could see a snake. And they believed it was and then they found actually dead. And then the other
Good bird.
the other big limiter. See, nature has a way of feathering things out, and I'm pretty sure that probably within the next 50 years, the boa or the python population in Florida probably will be wiped out by the weather. And the reason why is Florida, from time to time, gets cold spells. They get frosts. They get even in the Everglades. They every once in a while. It's a rare occasion, but when it happens, it kills a big percentage of the boa or the python rather population, and they go into like a hibernative state. But it makes them susceptible to mammals, which can tolerate that type of weather, makes them susceptible to being predated on them. And they had found ones that had been probably gnawed on by wild cats, or gnawed on by predatory birds, or gnawed on by even things such as possums or raccoons that are wandering around that decide, oh, it's not moving. It can't move. It's kind of in a hibernative state because of the weather, because it's too cold. So they go almost into a dormant stage because they're cold blooded.
Right.
And
well, in the stage of decay, that kind of reminds me. I know that's a little bit. Of course, we're not exactly on the topic right now, but that reminds me of the I-75 guy that did the stuff over in Kentucky.
Oh yeah,
they found his remains.
Did they ever give that couple the reward?
I don't think so.
That's pardon my French. That's bullshit.
Yes, they found him.
They found him. They offered up a $25,000 reward. They were out there to get that reward. They found him. And then they said, oh, there was a couple of cops there, so you don't get the reward. And the cops were 100, 200 yards away, and they called them in.
Yeah.
What a bunch of horse shit.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Even the cops there admitted that, hey, yeah, you got it. You got the reward.
But this guy, this disturbed individual, had ended himself.
So you know what, Chris, as a Kentucky resident, I would write to the Florida, whoever put that reward up and denied them. Yeah. I would write to them and say, if something ever happens again, because you failed to pay them, you can stick any reward. And I will remind people that you balked on a reward before.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can take your reward and stick it.
Right.
You know,
They found him.
How does that incentivize? I mean, oh, we put a $25 million reward out on somebody that's notorious. And then somebody actually finds it, gives the information, the cops get the guy, and then they refuse to pay that reward to that person. You know what? Next time they come out with reward, pardon the French, fuck it. Why am I going to get involved?
Right. Right. Well, if they don't pay you the reward because they say, "Oh, well, we had a cop,"
they're just going to make some excuse not to pay me the
yards.
reward.
Right. A cop drove by the street, drove by the area. Well, that doesn't change the fact that people found him. Okay.
Right. Exactly. And the guy was an ex-cop, and he figured the guy was probably dead.
Yep.
And what they were doing, they were looking for where vultures were, and they found a shit ton of vultures. They told the cops for 2 days, "Have you checked that area where the vultures are? Have you checked the area where the vultures are?" And they never did. So they went and they did it. They found him, and then they refused to pay him the reward.
It's bad.
Yeah.
But the guy's remains were almost non-existent at that time.
Yes, Matt, they did get some money, which is good, and that's because somebody had actually started a GoFundMe for them that people basically crowdsourced the reward money for them instead of the state having it. But that's what I mean. I mean, people did that out of their own heart, to do that. And when the state should have done that.
Well, I'm going to check into it a little bit further and see what the final outcome was. But the last time I had checked, according to their video on YouTube, they did not receive a reward. That may have changed in the past few days. But I'm going to check.
But that just shows you, how difficult it is in the forests to track even a human being down.
Right. Why is there no body? Well, this guy was just dead a few days and he was almost disintegrated.
Right.
A few more days, there would have been nothing there.
Right. Exactly. It just infuriates. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to let that F-bomb drop, but it just infuriates me. It infuriates me that here are these people, and it's an older couple. The guy's 68, busting his ass at 68, ex-cop, ex-military, good guy, decent guy, runs a neat little museum, the Hatfield and McCoy Museum in Kentucky. And him and his wife said, "Well, let's go take a look. I'm a cop." And they're both firearm instructors. So they're like, "Yeah, let's take a walk around. Maybe we can." And they weren't doing anything. They were going to areas where the cops weren't.
Well, what really, got me, the first thing, if I'm looking for something dead in the woods, or if I see a buzzard circling, that's a sure sign something is dead there. And if you want to find out what that is, you go to where the buzzards are circling, and then you start looking around because they'll tell you. They'll tell you something's dead.
I'm almost debating. There's some ideas I have in my coconut based on ultimately what I would like to do is find a Bigfoot body that's recently deceased. That way I don't have to be responsible for killing it.
Sure. That would be the ultimate goal. Right.
So that would be a great sign for folks that are working in very heavily populated sighting areas, that if they see a bunch of vultures. Now in New York, we have the turkey vulture.
Yeah.
And they're a vulture. The reason why they call them turkey vultures is because they kind of look like a turkey a little bit. They have heads like turkeys.
Right. Yes. We have those. We also have buzzards. Well, they look like a big crow, basically.
Right. Exactly.
But they kind of hang together, the two.
Right. So it'd be really, if there's researchers out there in those areas that are and they see buzzards or turkey vultures or vultures,
either way,
you need to
go look.
You need to go out there and see what that source is, why they're circling.
I've done it before. A lot of times you're going to find a dead deer,
right?
And those things, believe it or not, you can find they're circling a dead rabbit. Now, how they could see that far up in the sky to know that there's a dead rabbit in this field is beyond me. But they can do it.
Yep.
And I think what it is, they circle for a while, and then after they get up enough flock or whatever you want, whatever they're called, I think it's a flock. After they get up enough individuals, then they start getting lower and they land. And so when there's a lot of them around, that's when they feel safe or secure enough to start eating. But it's amazing.
Kaiju Ninja 1985 asks, what would be the best environment for a Bigfoot body to be preserved? Snow?
Ugh.
In the ground? Buried? That's why I don't believe they bury their dead. But
snow would be a pretty good preservative.
Yeah, it'd be a good preservative to stave off decomposition, but it still would not be enough to stave off. Understand, anybody that dies in, if it dies in the wintertime, you're going to have lack of insects. That's his number one.
Good. Yeah, Matt did a quick check. Said Fred and Sheila McCoy received a reward for finding the body of Joseph Couch in Kentucky. The couple received multiple checks totaling $35,000, which was originally a $25,000 reward. Very cool.
Yeah, now excellent. Well, that's good for them. Good for them. They deserved it.
Yes, they
did. My question is, did it come from the GoFundMe, or did it actually come from the people, the original, the state, which was offering the reward? That would be my question.
Yeah, if the state kind of cold shouldered them there, that would be.
Yeah, I know people were setting up GoFundMe's because they were angry too, which is cool. I mean, they got a lot of attention fast, but they deserved it. They were really over. Yeah, they can. Turkey vultures are awesome.
It's amazing. I mean, I've seen them circling a dead rabbit in the middle of a field. And if you're just driving by, you would not have known it was there. I mean, and yet there they are. They are.
Yep. Just amazing. I often wonder at times. But actually, let me go back to Kaiju's question.
Yeah.
In snow, you're lacking the insects, but you're not lacking the predatory animals. You still have. And think about it. If something was to die in the snow, what type of season is it? It's a season where food can be scarce. So you're going to get those animals that do not hibernate: the possums, the raccoons, the coyotes, the buzzards, the vultures that are going to see that, and now they have this great food source, and they're going to smell that, from quite a distance. And Martha asks, do I think their family buries them? I do not. And the reason why is burying preserves the bones. And we haven't had a Bigfoot bone found yet. So the reason why Homo erectus and Neanderthal started burying their dead was to prevent predation of the bodies. That's what we believe. And also stop disease. And of course, it's not a pleasant odor.
So for our viewers, if they want a little interesting fact about Kentucky, look up on the interwebs somewhere, the Kentucky meat shower. And the date on that, I looked it up. It was March 3rd, 1876. It's the time it rained meat in Kentucky. Right. Look that up. That's a real event.
Yeah.
I think there's even, according to this, there's a Wikipedia entry for it too. Kentucky meat shower. But that was a cool event. I remember reading that a few years back, and it's kind of funny and kind of shocking in a way. But it did, in fact, rain meat in Kentucky.
Marvelous.
How about that?
Not the kind of meat you want to eat either.
Well, I won't. No spoilers, but if you hadn't read up on it, you need to read on it. Kentucky meat shower.
Well, hey, look, that may be a dead raccoon. Let's grab it and eat it.
Well, these days, as expensive as hamburger is, if it starts raining meat, I'm going to give it a second look.
There's Ristol says drove past a large fresh killed hog the other morning, headed to work. 8 hours later, there was nothing left but skin and bones. The vultures were scattering the bones. Yep.
Yeah, Bristol. Yeah.
Yep.
Those dudes are like a Tasmanian devil. They just shred something.
Yeah. Martin makes a great point. Vermont porcupines eat bones. Absolutely. Possums eat bones. Coyotes eat bones, especially if they feel they need the calcium. And instinctually, animals will know instinctually what they need to eat sometimes.
Right.
If you think about it, that's why dogs eat grass. It's like all of a sudden your dog's eating grass. It's because they're getting signals to their brain from their digestive system that they need some roughage. Don't I don't know about Benno over here, but do you ever get a craving for a salad? I do.
Oh, no salad, no. But I can have a craving for a cheeseburger from Dairy Queen flung on me pretty easy. I like cheeseburger.
But yeah, I have, and that's maybe because that part in your brain isn't sending that signal, or it's not understanding that signal. I think that's why we're losing that ability. But there are some people like me, all of a sudden, like, I really want to eat a salad today. I just feel like I need it. Right. And it's just your signal going to your head saying, hey, it's time for the old Roto-Rooter, eat some salad.
Probably, yeah. I just got burnt out on it. We ate salad for about 6 months, and that's all the salad I ever want to have in my life. I need to get back on them, though. I'm getting fat again. Amen, Faster Man. Yeah. Dairy Queen has great cheeseburger. They sure do.
We have a
little free advertisements for Dairy.
We have a place, a chain up here in the Northeast called Five Guys. And a double bacon cheeseburger. And you can put whatever toppings you want on it.
Yeah, is that the place like they give you the big bag of fries? Because
yes,
I think Jared was talking about those. One of those in Bowling Green.
Yes,
they ordered their burgers and some fries, and they got a big sack.
Yeah,
of French fries.
You order a large fry. What they do is they fill a big cup up with French fries, and then they take the rest of the scoop and they empty it into the bag. So you get fries in the bag. You get a nicely wrapped double cheese, which depending on what you want. Myself, I'm preferential what I do because they have fresh ones. Right. I get a double cheeseburger with fresh jalapenos on it.
Oh yes,
and ketchup. Right.
Right.
And then I get the bag of fries. Now the fries that are in the bag, they're for eating while you're driving home.
Yeah.
And then when you come home, you got the big cup of fries and you put it all out and eat.
Oh yeah, Grasshopper makes a good point. Oh, they close it. Yeah, they are expensive, Grass. Yeah, they are. I remember. That's why we don't eat there. Bowling Green is not that far away. It's like 20-minute drive in the car. But I've never had their fries or burgers. Jared said they're good.
And yeah, I mean, like Helton likes Dairy Queen's better. That's again.
Oh yeah.
We don't have too many Dairy Queens up by us. The nearest one we have is in Lake George, and it's the only one near us. So I really don't get up there that much because Lake George to me, beautiful, but it's a big tourist trap.
Yeah, yeah.
Like literally, that's where all the Canadians. Lake George is where all the Canadians go to vacation. So you go into Lake George Village. 60% of the population of Lake George Village during the summer months is French Canadian.
Yeah. Anytime you go in the tourist area, man, you're going to be out, $8 to $12 for a cheeseburger.
And guess what? You're likely the Dairy Queen cheeseburgers are probably just as expensive as the Five Guys cheeseburgers.
Right.
At least in there. Yeah, and New York Friendlies. We actually have one Friendly's left in the area, and I haven't eaten there in years. The only to me, the food is so outdated at Friendly's that
Yeah.
I tend to, and you can tell, our audience is driven by food, just like us, Chris.
Well, we can talk about food all night. I'm sorry,
Right.
guys. You get a fat man talking about food, and that's going to be a long conversation.
And you know what? I used to be a fat man. I'm still a fat man for I had what 6 wings and 4 slices of pizza for dinner tonight.
Yeah.
So, but I got the good pizza, the cheese on the bottom pizza, and oh, it's so good. And I got these really great. This place makes the best wings too. You ask them for them extra crispy, they make them extra crispy, and they have the greatest sweet Thai chili wings you could ever want.
You better be careful talking about that Chicago style pizza in New York, dude. They'll string you up. They have pizza wars. They got to have the cheese on the top.
Truthfully, I like all types of pizza. I like a good straight pizza. I like a good Chicago deep dish. I like a good Detroit style. I like a good New York pizza.
Yeah.
It all depends on what your flavor du jour is. See, me, I have a very eclectic food taste.
Yeah.
And like I learned to enjoy each type of style. Like, oh, that's different. That's not bad. It's like, well, you know what? Every once in a while, I want a deep dish. And I get a deep dish.
Right.
Every once in a while, I want that nice thin crust. Oh, I'll get a thin crust.
The last time I was in New York, I got a slice of pizza, and it was without. It was the size of a medium pizza. Just this one slice. It was huge, and it was kind of expensive, but really thin. A lot of cheese.
And you had to fold it over to eat it, right?
Yes, because
that's your traditional New York style pizza.
It was awesome. It was awesome. I mean,
you gotta the New York style pizza. You got to do the fold. You got to take it.
Right.
You got to fold it in half, and then you eat it.
It was great. It was almost worth the trip just to get a piece of pizza.
And then you find those places, and this is something that I didn't really discover until the 90s was a thing. Was you get a slice of pizza with cold cheese on top of it. So they put it in the oven, heat it up, that slice, and then they'll top it off with cold cheese.
Cold, COLD, cold?
Yeah, cold cheese. Yeah, they'll just take a handful of mozzarella, put it on top of it after it's out of the oven.
All right.
And because mozzarella gets a different flavor when you melt it. And when you taste the 2 different types of cheeses, it was like, wow, this is really good. It melts a little bit, but it's not hot. It's a cooler cheese, and it tastes differently. Unreal.
Oh man, here we are.
Talking
about pizza.
Hey, and Chris, guess what time it is?
I can see that. Yes, it's we're running a little late here.
Quick show. Yeah.
Started talking about food and time flies, right?
Well, we only been talking about food for the last like 10 minutes. That's about it. It's not too bad. But anyway, folks, I'll let Chris, you do your thing, and then we'll get out of here. Let everybody get to bed.
Well, I want to thank you guys for hanging out with us on Sunday night. We really appreciate each and every one of you. And, we do this because of you. You make this possible. And thank you so much. Each and every one of our viewers. We appreciate you. If it's your first time watching, consider subscribing. Hit the subscribe button. Hit like on the video. It helps us. It doesn't cost you anything, but it helps us with the algorithm or whatever they say. It's supposed to help us, but we'll see. But we really appreciate you guys. And thank you so much again.
And on behalf of me, I want to first thank Mick for gifting 5 subscriptions tonight. Thank you so much. And of course, the big thank you today goes out to Eyes in the Woods for the $49.99 donation.
Wow.
The super question. That wasn't a question at all, but a comment. And thank you so much. We always try to give you the honest answers into this mystery. And of course, as things develop, we have different shows, and we will be back here this Wednesday night at 9 p.m. We're back on a regular schedule, program. I have one more event for the season, and that is coming up on October 19th. I will be at the Viaport Mall in Rotterdam, New York, for the Do You Believe event. and I'll be speaking there, and I'll have some books for sale as well. And that should be a great event. And it was a wonderful event last year and the year before that. But they're really promoting the hell out of the one this year, so it's going to be really big. Anyway, we appreciate everybody being here. Thank you so much. We couldn't do what we do here without you guys. And, we will be back here again Wednesday night. And on behalf of me and Chris, keep safe, stay safe, be in good health. God bless. And, of course, keep on squatching. We'll see you here Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. Catch you in a bit.
We thank you for being here with us on SquatchDTV. If you haven't taken the time yet, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And oh yes, hit that notification bell too. We don't want you to miss anything. If you really like our content, you should consider becoming a member. And it's really inexpensive and a great way to support not only the show, but honest Bigfoot research. Everyone have a great week. Be safe and God bless. We will see you all here next time on SquatchDTV. Keep on squatching.